Hello again, FlossTube friends. This is Julia, aka Julicious. I really feel like I need a new title, like a new... Julicious is like 20 years old. Starting the video off with a tangent. If you're new here, welcome. Thank you so much for choosing to spend some time with me, because there are so many awesome creative people out there in the FlossTube lands, and it means a lot that you're giving me a try. And if you're returning, thank you. I love you. I'm so glad you're here. And thanks everyone for the lovely comments on my last video. I still need to respond to those. But I appreciate your patience and your grace with the rambles and the tangents. Although Olivia said she actually likes it, so I'll be a little less self-critical about that in the future. Today, I don't have that much to show you, actually, because I've been kind of monogamously stitching. But I do have some things. I've been knitting, I've been reading. I started quilting. A rabbit hole that I swore I would never fall down, and then I decided to hell with it. I'm 40 years old. The world is falling apart. If it has the potential to bring joy, let's give it a try. So, no joy yet, because it's hard when you're new at things. And but we'll get to that a little later. I forgot last time to show you two FFOs, fully finished objects. Both are framed cross. They're both framed cross stitches. One of them I framed myself. The other one, my boy Calvin over at my local Michael's framed for me. So let's go. And they're both Lindy stitches, because apparently all I stitch are Stephanie's designs. In 2020, I think it was in 2020. No, it was last year. It was in 2021. Stephanie released her first mystery stitch along, called Funky Menagerie, using all DMC threads. And I'm not usually a mystery stitch along person, because I've been bitten too many times. Like, oh yeah, that'll be fun. Oh, this is disappointing. But this was fun. It's not really my style. It's a bit too cutesy, but it was really fun. And it was my first time. I chose to stitch it 1/2 on 46 count. This was my first time stitching on 46 count, and I love it. I haven't started anything else on 46 count, actually. I plan to. But anyway, I framed this myself. So yeah, it's all DMC. What do I like? Well, the praying mantis is adorable. And this little like peacock spider guy. The hedgehog, of course. I don't know, there are it's fun, and it got me through a particularly rough semester of nursing school, my second to last semester. And the frame is actually from a framer on Etsy that Steph recommended. This is from Frame and Wire on Etsy. I opted not to put the plastic plexiglass bit they send along. Just because I don't quite have the framing skills to, like, because I know when you're framing needlework behind glass or something, you need to have a spacer. So there's a bit of a gap between the fabric and the glass, and I don't know how to do that. So I just did it this way. I'm pretty happy with it. It's not perfectly square, but it's close enough. And so this hangs in my front hallway, kind of beside my front door. My daughter chose the spot. So, Funky Menagerie by Lindy Stitches. And my second finish relates to something I touched on in my last video, that being the loss of my two cats, Alex and Andre. I started stitching this right after they died just because I wanted the color, and it's not my normal palette at all, but it called to me and I did it, and I couldn't put it down for a long time. And I wrote Steph an email thanking her about this, because this was definitely a big part of my grief and healing process. And I just love it. And if you're familiar, you're probably gonna love it too. This is Edna Goes to Brunch by Lindy Stitches. And I got the full kit. She was selling kits. So this is the called for fabric, all the called for threads. And it makes me so happy. It's very springy, summery, but I'm only gonna leave it up in my dining room all year round, just because I love her little face and her little tufts and her little expression. And although we had Rosh Hashanah just passed, Jewish New Year, and I had a house full of people. And my cousin looked up at the wall and said, "Who's Edna?" I was like, "The bird, that's Edna." So I think it's obvious who Edna is. But yeah, so this is just a frame from Michael's. I think I've chosen this frame before. A few years ago, I stitched a Bless This House. It's from either Country Cottage or Little House. It says Bless This House, and there's like a bird and a dog and a flag, and I took out the dog and made it a robin. So it's a robin and a bluebird, because my in-laws were moving. Anyway, when I had that framed, I'm pretty sure this was the frame I chose for that one. Anyway, that's my second FFO. And it's meaningful to me. Oh, what should I talk about? My whips? How about my whips? I have been knitting and trying to quilt and stitching, and I forget actually what, I should have watched my last video, because I think I had planned, yes, I had planned in September to work on my Starry Night sampler by the City Stitcher, and a really kind, lovely viewer actually charted Carl Sagan's name for me and sent me the file. Thank you so much again, friend. And I tried stitching it and I can't get it to look right. It's not the way the letters are charted. This is all just me trying to figure out how to make the way the name in that center motif. I need to figure out how to do it correctly in a way that doesn't look like the dog's breakfast. So I was kind of like, I can't. I was very disgruntled. And so I decided, well, in the meantime, why don't I just work on Away We Ride some more, because I didn't feel like I got a good, proper start on it since I did quite a few starts in June for my birthday. And I promptly got obsessed with Away We Ride. I am stitching this on 40 count linen from Color and Cotton in the colorway White Tea. And here, there. Oh, it's so good. The border is not terrible. Like, I have to say, if anything intimidated me about this pattern, it was the border. But honestly, like, it's very meditative. And I don't know, there's something I really like about it. And I've been bouncing back and forth. Like, I'll do border and then I'll do center, and I'll do border and I'll do center. I admit I'm kind of enamored with the center right now because there are more colors. There are only 2 colors in the border and in the same 2 colors in the words and in this little motif. Like, right here is when the first non-gray or black floss showed up. So I'm stitching this 1/2, and Vicki Clayton of HDF Silks released a floss pack for this that my partner Josh got me for my birthday. So that's what I'm stitching it with, and I love it. I think I said that in my last, either my last video or the video before. So good. So I'm gonna be working on that for a little while longer. I'm not ready to put it down yet. I also, so I have 2 nephews, and Reed and Finn, on the off chance that you're watching this, please stop now. Like, go ask Pop to take you bowling or something. Don't watch. So I decided I wanted to make them little ornaments for their Christmas tree. My partner's family is not Jewish, and they celebrate, my in-laws celebrate Christmas, and my nephews are old enough now that they have enough of their personalities and interests that I feel like I can knit them more personalized, not knit them, well, knit them, yes, but stitch them more personalized stuff. And so I want to make them each a Christmas ornament this year. And I'm doing Mill Hill kits. Now, this is a fiasco because there are 2 kits. And when I went to 123 Stitch to order them, one of them was available, the other one was on back order. And I, silly me, was like, okay, well, I'm not gonna order the one that's there. I'm gonna put in my email to say, notify me when this one gets back. And then when it's back in stock, I'll just order both of them. Well, when this one was back in stock, the other one was gone. That has since been reordered and is en route to my house as we speak. But the one I'm stitching for my oldest nephew, Reed, is from Mill Hill's Spring Bouquet collection. It's baseball mitt. And my nephew Finn is going to get a soccer ball. Here is what I have so far, and I need to rip out a good portion of it because I miscounted. I discovered the other day. But it should not, these ones don't take very long, but that's where I am. And they're a fun little diversion. So other than Away We Ride, I started working on that. And then knitting wise, I know I showed some yarn in my last video saying that I was gonna, as sort of a teaser. Didn't do it. Pardon the crinkling. I have to put things away or it's just not, it's just bad news. I am working on finishing up a pair of socks that I started 2 or 3 months ago. It's a free pattern on Ravelry. That's the Quiet Folly socks. And it's really interesting because you start with a twisted 1x1 rib, and then you do a series of decreases on either side of the ribbing to make it come to a point on the outside of the foot, just to keep things interesting. And I'm stitching these on I think a 1.75 millimeter needle, I think. I have one done. I'm working on the second one. And I am using, Sadie is not dying anymore. But it's a Knitter's Nightmare yarn. And I think I actually purchased this when she was having her going out of business and moving back to Canada sale. So it's Knitter's Nightmare yarn, 80% superwash merino, 20% nylon. In the colorway is Girl, Do You Know How Orange You Are? I think that's a RuPaul's Drag Race reference. So I have one completed sock. It knits up really well. I'm so sad that Sadie isn't dying anymore, but she has 2 children under 5, so who can blame her? And then I'm about halfway done with the heel flap on the second one. So I really want to get these done because I want to start on birthday socks for my daughter, who will be 12 at the end of November. And I'm going to be knitting her a pair of self-striping socks from one of my favorite indie dyers on Etsy. Is called Valkyrie Fibers. I've knit quite a few pairs of socks out of their yarn, and so the self-stripy one is from their Middle Earth series. The colorway is called I Am No Man. And I'm going to do cuffs and heels and toes in this, also from the Middle Earth series, the colorway Stern as Steel. So that is going to be kiddo's birthday socks this year, and I have to get cracking on them. So that's step 1, finish these to free up the needles. Step 2, wind the yarn. Step 3, cast on. I went to my hometown earlier in the month. I think it was the first weekend in September, actually, to see my Nana, my grandmother, and my parents as well, but mostly Nana. And while I was there, I stopped by my old haunt, Stitch Your Art Out, in Pine Grove Mills, Pennsylvania, which is like a suburb of State College, PA. If you happen to be trapped there for a football game, I take 10 minutes and drive from State College to Pine Grove Mills, maybe 15 or 20, depending on where you are. Make an appointment first. And talk to Cynthia, the owner, who was my OG original yarn dealer. And it is a yarn shop and also a fabric shop, because they sell quilting fabric. And I decided that I was going to get a beginner quilting project. See, aforementioned revelation that if it sounds fun, you should just do it. Cynthia is also a knitwear designer. She designs under the her design business is called Really Clear Designs, and it's what it says. She makes things crystal clear. Like if you've ever read a pattern and you're just like, I not smart enough for this. Cynthia designs patterns that are easy to follow. Not necessarily easy to knit, but then knitting isn't hard. It can just be fiddly sometimes, and she breaks it down. I can't say enough good things about it. Really Clear Designs has put out one quilting pattern, and that's what she recommended, and that's what I'm doing. It's titled Beginner's 9-Patch Placemat. So I went and I bought all the stuff to set me up to start quilting a thing, in addition to everything I need to make 6 of these placemats. And I can't measure, apparently, because this is smaller than it's supposed to be. I mean, it's still, I guess, a decent placemat size, but it's not what I'd hoped for. Anyway, I have one pieced top done. So I'll show you. This is my very first pieced placemat top. So the focal fabric is this print with chrysanthemums on, and my favorite color is orange, so that's the quote light fabric, and then the dark is that blue turquoise teal batik. I sometimes wonder if it's too busy. I have to say, when I think of quilts that I would like to make, I tend to not like pattern fabrics this busy. But this, I don't know, it just seemed to work, and I figured, well, it's just placemats. Go outside your comfort zone just to learn something. It's not terrible, it's just not perfect. And if you're me, that's a problem. If you're a normal human being with a normal brain, it's not a problem. I am learning. It's new. So today, this afternoon, I might actually try doing the batting and the backing, because Cynthia recommended that I make one placemat, like start to finish, just to get an idea of the whole process of the whole thing, before I finish the other 5. And so I'm thinking I'm gonna maybe try the machine quilting. Maybe. We'll see. Anyway, first quilted thing, not quilted, but in the process of. And I know I seem like I'm kind of discouraged by it, but you should also know that I was rewatching one of Olivia B's first QuiltyTube videos after I was feeling kind of discouraged about that, and she might have enabled me to buy an actual quilt pattern. This is Yellow Brick Road by Atkinson Designs. Maybe I'll do this next year. Does anybody else want to do this next year? Olivia, do you want to try again? Haha, only serious. No, really, I would be down for that if anyone else. I mean, it's a good beginner pattern, and it's got 1, 2, 6 sizes from baby to king size. I would probably do the lap size. But anyway, call me. Let me know. So I didn't only buy quilty stuff while I was at Stitch Your Art Out. I saw a shop model of a beautiful colorwork cowl. What's this called? I think the pattern's free. A Frosty Twilight cowl, which I'm knitting in this Comforting Tweed Aran by the Virtuous Yarn Company. I said, Cynthia, I want to knit that. And she said, okay, I'll print out the pattern. The yarn I used to knit that is over there. And I was like, okay. And I chose this green. I think that's called Be Yourself. I don't actually know. The colorways are Be Yourself and Reasonable. It's a green and a cream. And you know, sometimes like when you're knitting bug, or I think when any crafting bug is kind of like, bleh, sometimes to get it restarted again, you have to like go to a shop and look around. And if you see something like, I want to make that, you know, make that and jumpstart things. And that's what I did. I'm making there are 3 sizes. I'm making the largest, which will be a 27-inch circumference. And I should note, if you go to Ravelry to look up this design, it'll have 4. It'll suggest you choose 4 colors of yarn, but you can do whatever you want. I think the original is meant to have like a gradient of the main color, and then the contrasting color, like what you knit the color work with, was just meant to be one, like say white or black. But the model I saw in the shop was just 2 colors, and that's what I loved. The model in the shop, I think, is either a mauve or light purple. Not quite like a plum purple. It's in the purple blurple family. And I'm considering making this as a gift for a friend. And so I chose colors that they would like. But here, it's so pretty and it's so satisfying. So you cast on with size 4.5 millimeter needles, and you do some 1x1 ribbing, and then you switch to size 5 millimeter needles to knit the Fair Isle. And then at the top, when you're going to do more ribbing, you obviously switch to smaller needles. A couple of stitches fell off. There we go, all fixed. So yeah, Frosty Twilight Cowl. I'm enjoying it very much. Okay. What is next on my list of things to tell you about? Plans. Do I have plans? Sort of, kind of. In terms of cross-stitching, I am 99% sure that I'm going to be doing a no new starts in 2023, except not really because Christine from Calico, or Calico Whimsy on, I think she's Calico Whimsy on Instagram, and maybe just Calico, I don't know. Christine, I'm sorry. We are going to start a kit together on New Year's Day, because in January of this year, she said, I got this kit, and if anyone wants to do a Sal, let me know. And I was not in a good place, but I thought it sounded good, and I said, kind of far way off, but if you want to, if you would do that as a new year, new start in 2023, I'm all about it. And I just have to find I have to find the kit. And she said, I'm putting it in my notebook. So that's what they're doing. If you want to join us, you can, if you can find this. It's like a Russian DMC kit. The series that this is from is called With the Flavor of Salt, Wind, and Sun. The actual kit we're doing is this little seagull. And I fell in love. I mean, I love the ocean. I love seabirds. And you know what? It just currently dawned on me. Every time I see this, I think of Newfoundland. I've never been to Newfoundland. It reminds me of the book by Annie Proulx, The Shipping News, most of which takes place in Newfoundland. Like, I could see this fellow as like a little background character in the shipping news, just like sitting on a windowsill, you know, looking in at the newspaper office or something. But anyway, yeah. It's a full kit by RTO, but it says DMC down here. And down at the bottom, if you're interested, so down at the bottom it says art.m815, if maybe that will help you track it down. I think I got this on Etsy, but honestly, this was back late January when I was not sleeping well and was horribly depressed due to night shift. So I'm sorry I'm not much help in terms of helping you track this down. I'm gonna stitch with the kit fabric and floss because it's easier. It's Aida. It looks like it's 16 or 18 count Aida. So this will likely be my only start in 2023 because I have a lot. Like my New Year start last year got like maybe 100 stitches on it total. My New Year start this year was the Village of Hawk Run Hollow. And if you are familiar with that piece, you know that 100 stitches is just like, huh. So yeah, there's that. I kind of fell off the wagon with my Bird Crush Club stitching. So I think I'm definitely next year gonna focus on getting back on track with that. But yeah, mostly stitch what you want when you want for me, but no new starts, with one exception. So that's kind of kind of what my 2023 thoughts are. Cross-stitching, knitting, anything goes. Maybe. So that leaves the rest of this year. I don't know. October is coming. October is my favorite month. It is spooky season. This is vaguely spooky. I will probably do some work on my Halloween fairy. Because I had hoped to get her done this year, but I don't know that that's going to happen. And also, I'm thinking I might have a very tiny new start. Pardon, squeaky table. I've been wanting to stitch A Raven's Reply by Luminous Fiber Arts. I've never actually stitched one of Misty's designs. And incidentally, I would have reached out to Misty when I was in State College if Needlework Expo had not been going on that weekend. Misty and I have breathed the same air. I don't know that we've actually had a conversation. Stitch Your Art Out used to have these massive knitting classes, like the Elizabeth Zimmerman themed class would draw a lot of people, and I'm pretty sure Misty and I attended those together, but I don't know her well at all. But I would have reached out and be like, hey, you want to meet up at Stitch Your Art Out? So it won't be too weird. I'm not a serial killer, I promise. But anyway, I might start this. I have some big piece of 40 count platinum, which is a really nice fabric, to stitch this on. That's a maybe. I have most of, no, I don't have many of the called for colors. I think I have Gassed Blackboard, maybe, and I have Weeks Sweet Potato. Everything else, I'm probably just gonna have to wing it, but that's okay. So this is a maybe. But I guess we'll find out in October what ended up happening, right? I wanted to share, I got a couple of pieces from Needlework Expo, and I'm kicking myself that I didn't get the third. Could I still get the third? Yes. Do I have enough patterns? Also, yes. And those of you who said you want to see me do a video where I just like go through my pattern stash and be like, stitch it or ditch it, I see you, I appreciate you, I will do that before the end of the year. Anyway, I really am kicking myself for not pre-ordering the Autumn Cloche pattern. I don't know why, I just kind of glazed over it when I was shopping. But then a couple of people were like, on their FlossTube videos, like, look what I got. And I'm like, oh, I want that. Maybe it'll go on my Hanukkah wish list. Let's do that. I got my very first Kathy Barrick, The Witches Training Academy, because how could I not? How could I not? This is stitched on 40 count. Lovely. I love stitching on 40 count. Seaweed from Fox and Rabbit. If I don't do seaweed, I will definitely do murky. We shall see. And it calls for NPI silks. I'm probably not going to buy the NPIs. I don't know. I mean, talk me into it if you feel strongly about it, obviously, but It's not a hand paint or a variegated, and honestly, I think DMC is perfectly good. I think the colors are beautiful and vibrant. I don't know that this needs to be done in silk, but I'm willing to be convinced. But related to that, the second thing I got, which is a biggin, and I don't know when I'm going to start it, but I couldn't say no because I feel like this was designed especially for me, and I know many of you probably also feel that this was designed especially for you, which is Heartstring Samplery's Scary Sampler. Like, I just, it's got the Death Star and a weeping angel and skeletons and a sandworm from Beetlejuice. And look, that little hint, that's an X-Files callback to an episode you don't want to watch. Because, oh my God, it's the sickest episode that the X-Files, it's the episode Home. And they aired that on prime time once, and now I think, and then from then on, you could only watch it on FX late night. Like, it is dark, and it is twisted, and not for the faint of heart. Like, seriously, like, Google it and do some soul searching before you decide you want to watch that episode. Anyway, it makes me so happy. And the skeleton and the little doggy has a bone, and just, I love it. Alien heads in the border. So, don't know when I'm going to start this, but if you have it and you want to start it, Vicki Clayton of NPI Silks recently released a floss pack for this. Just putting that out there. I do occasionally do my part to enable people. Is that all the stuff I had to show you? I think it might be. Where's my list? Yeah, that's what I got. Before I go, I wanted to talk a little bit about books because I've been watching Anne, and she likes to talk about books. I'm going to talk about two that I think are seasonally appropriate. Although one of them is not actually that scary. So the first one I'm going to talk about is a book by the late, great Octavia Butler, and that book is called Fledgling. Fledgling is about a young vampire with amnesia. And I say it's a vampire novel, but it's not really. It's about vampires. But the premise of the book is this young woman named Shuri wakes up in a cave, blind, very badly hurt, with amnesia. And she is a vampire. And the book is part her journey of self-rediscovery and part murder mystery / courtroom drama. Yeah. So it's not a horror story. I mean, yes, there's talk of vampires are a huge part of the plot, and how vampires eat is a huge part of the plot. But I just love what Butler did, because the premise is that in this world, vampires are a separate species from humans. And they find humans and form a symbiotic relationship with them, a consensual symbiotic relationship with them. So the premise was just completely new to me, and I will always love like traditional Eastern European vampire lore. Like, I love it. Like, get out of here with your Twilight, get out of here with your True Blood, the Count Dracula, and those old rules. rules about vampires all the way for me. But this was great for a non-traditional take on vampires. So yeah, I don't know what else to say. So Shuri discovers that she was blind and badly injured and in a cave because people were trying to murder her and her family, and she's the only one who survived, and in a daze crawled to a cave and wakes up and just heals very slowly, finds a deer and eats it and heals more and regains her vision and all of that. And tries to contact other vampires, comes in contact with other vampires, tries to solve a mystery of who tried to kill her family and why and what to do about it. And you should go read it. It is a good book. And if you like Octavia Butler, you definitely need to go read it. The second book I would recommend is a bit more spooky, and it is called Plain Bad Heroines by Emily M. Danforth. And it bounces back and forth between 1902 and the present day, with an old boarding school and a curse and lesbians and a book written about the curse that's being turned into a movie, and all of the weird stuff that goes on. I'm being vague because it's so hard to talk about it without really giving things away. It's a bit more spooky. I listened to the audiobook version, and the person reading it knocked it out of the park. Knocked it out of the park. I would listen to the person who read this book. I would listen to them read like the book of Leviticus or the phone book or something equally just like, whoa. Phenomenal job. The ending is kind of weird and vague, but I didn't get too bent out of shape about it just because I was desperate to listen to this book. I listened to an audiobook on my commute to and from work. It's about 40 minutes each way. Like I was desperate at the beginning and the end of my day to get in the car and keep listening to find out what was going on. It's creepy and weird and tragic, and it examines sexism and homophobia and classism. And it's just I again, not doing very well because I didn't plan these reviews very well, but give it a go. 2 thumbs up. That's what I have for you today. I will see you probably in about a month. If I manage to get the FlossTube Extra going through my stash thing done before then that will happen before then, but my next update will be in about a month. Thank you so much for taking the time to hang out and spend some time with me today, and I hope you're well, I hope you're safe, and take care of yourself and be kind.